welcome to Taking Over. I almost said the wrong show there, so I'm glad I caught myself. I am Ed Fries, joined as always by my tag team partner, Astrid Pizarro. There you go, you do the road dog thing. No, this way.
There we
We have our first episode post Mandy Rose of NXT. Oh, it's sad days. We got our friend Beman saying that he's put us on one of the tabs. Thank you very much for putting us on a tab and enjoying the show. But you know what? NXT wasn't a train wreck today. Now, mind you, they did everything they could to make sure that nobody mentioned... Yes, Barry. That exact comment. Mandy who?
Who? I don't know.
If you didn't watch the opening video package, you'd have no idea who Roxanne won the title off of, because they didn't mention who she beat. Toxic Attraction was not given a chance to even potentially talk to the crowd. They did not look like they wanted to be there. And it was not mentioned once in that interview that she beat Mandy Rose.
Mm-hmm.
We got our friend Joe stopping in. Hello, Mr. Mighty Joe. Thank you for stopping by and saying hello. We greatly appreciate it. Speaking of people stopping by, saying hello, Dar Amazing, thank you for joining us as well. That being said, taking all the Mandy Rose stuff out of this episode of NXT, because NXT sure as hell did. The rest of the episode was really good.
Mm-hmm.
This was a top to bottom, really good NXT. Back to normal. Like, the flow was perfect. There was a few too many backstage segments for me. I could have done it a little less Grayson Waller. But I could have done it a little less Grayson Waller in the fact that he's a great heel, that I just wanted to stop seeing him on my TV. To the point where I went to the restroom and got a drink of water when he came out to do his closing segment, because I was so sick and tired of seeing him, because he's such a great heel. Like, they did it perfectly. They gave you him in what? 10-second bits throughout the entire show? What did you think of this show? As before we do that, we say hello to Sean Cena, our friend who's joining us as well. What did you think of this week's NXT?
No, it definitely flowed better than it did last week on the train where we had to witness. But no, just like when I saw Axiom and Carmelo coming out, I was like, okay, that's a good choice for an opener. And once we knew the main event was going to be Kofi and JBBJ, I thought that was a great, a good closing out to the show. I just was expecting something like the Waller thing to be before the main event, because after like the match, I'm just like, I'm good with this ending. I don't need anything else. So I didn't like that the overrun was done for that Waller thing. It was like I could have done without it, but I understand why they did it. But I feel like I was like, it went, and I don't need that. But it was fun.
What, you mean Brett Waller, who came out to us at the end of the night? For those of you who didn't watch your old school WCW, you'll understand what I mean later on in the show. But no, I mean, it starts with the Roxanne video package showing us that she won the women's championship, showing that Mandy Rose was the one she beat, and that's the only time we see her here, Mandy Rose. Because Lord knows they did their best to make sure we didn't know it the rest of the way. That being said, Carmelo Hayes and Axiom, as you said, incredible way to start the show. Why don't you go ahead and talk about your favorite person, the person who you begged them to put a mask on. You said, hey kid, no, I don't want to look at him. I just want to see a nice mask. Talk to us about your favorite wrestler, Axiom.
You will not let me outlive this, right? Is this what's happening? Yeah, I see you.
I just think it's funny that one week you say, I miss A Kid, I want him back, and the next week we got promo packages for Axiom.
Don't remind me. No, I feel like when like I said, when I saw them, I thought it was a good opener. The pacing of it, the reversals, the back and forth they had was just incredible to see. My favorite part though was one of them when Carmelo had the submission and he tried to and Axiom tried to reverse it and he went back to the submission. It was like that back and forth was incredible. But yeah, I just loved everything. I just felt like I loved the flow, and it just like I didn't like that trick. It was the one that ruined the flow for me because it was going so well up and the trick interruption. I'm like, I could have done without that interruption there, but we know why it happened to begin with. But he basically helps out Carmelo win the match. But that back and forth between Maxim and Carmelo, beautiful. Please give me more of that.
Yeah, I mean, this was a quality way to... This felt like old early day Nitros. Like, let's just throw the cruiserweights out there. Let's give them 10 minutes. and they're going to go out there and they're going to put on a great match, and it's going to start the show hot. The crowd got right into it. These two guys have incredible chemistry. They work well together. It was just a fantastic flow. Carmelo Hayes, as you know, is one of my favorites in the NXT, in all of wrestling right now, but especially in NXT right now, is one of my absolute favorites. He's put on so many great matches this year that it just, I can't wait to see what's next. And we get a little bit of an idea as to, I think, what we're going to see at one, New Year's Evil, and two, what I think the main event for Vengeance Day is going to be. But we'll get there. As you said, Axiom has control of the match. He's getting ready to hit that. I call it the shadow kick. It's like a running, slow starting, like slow motion kick that he does as his finisher. And Trick just grabs him by the top of the head and just throws him to the ground. Mello go ahead and hit him with a move and then hit the leg drop for the win. It keeps Axiom looking good. It does exactly what it needs to do for Axiom. He had the match won. Trick distracted him. And it puts Mello over so that Mello can go on and, hey, I won the match. For when we get to the thing later on, Mello can't say he lost the match. To further give Axiom, the push, and to probably signal where Axiom goes next. Post-match, Axiom gets up on the top rope and goes ahead and does a dive onto the top of Trick Williams. Carmelo Hayes goes up to the ring but doesn't get back in the ring as Axiom's like, come on, we can do this again. So I think that's probably what we're going to see next for Axiom, don't you think?
Yeah, it makes sense. Plus, like I said, just like I wouldn't mind seeing this again. I just please no interruptions this time. It flowing so well up until that happens.
And then before we get to the next thing, I want to bring this up because it's a perfect time to do so. Australians being annoying, I follow cricket. They're really good at it. And, as you would have it, Grayson Waller is here. And Grayson Waller says, Roxanne, I hate that she's NXT Women's Champion, but she called her shot, so I'm going to call mine. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, they're going to do this twice in a row. All right. And then we find out from Mackenzie Mitchell, no, Braun's not here tonight. Braun's been spent the day in North Carolina, trying to sell tickets for Vengeance Day. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. The heel's going to go ahead and call it the babyface. The babyface isn't there. That makes sense. Grayson doesn't seem to take no for an answer. This is our first of... Honestly, I wrote most of them down, but I stopped writing them down at a point because I just didn't care anymore. So hopefully you can remind me when they came in because Lord knows I'm not going to. We then get Tony D talking on the phone as we come back from commercial break, and he says that he has a North American title match. Apparently he was talking directly to Wes Lee. I don't know why they're talking on the phone when they're both in the same arena, because later on we see Wes Lee in a backstage promo. I don't know why he couldn't just gone to the locker room and had a conversation with him. But,
They
whatever.
each other, until the match happens.
But I like this. We're getting a North American title match next week. I really would have liked this if we could have waited, I don't know, another week and put this on the pay-per-view. I say pay-per-view, the Tuesday night special for New Year's Evil. Because we've got next week's episode, and then is it Tuesday? Then it's New Year's Evil, right? It's 2 weeks from today. I'm looking at a calendar as well.
No, it's not the 3rd, it's the 10th, right?
It's the 3 weeks, yeah. All right, so they got 3 weeks. They've decided to go big on we're just going to put titles in line. Last week we had the NXT Women's Championship for absolutely no reason other than we just wanted to put the Women's Championship on the line. For no reason whatsoever. And we'll get back to that because there's a great line from Booker later on that I brought it up with when he's talking to Roxanne. But we get Nikita Lyons versus Zoe Stark. This starts out really, really quick with Zoe trying to attack Nikita as she makes her entrance. Nikita's smart enough this time. I like that. It shows that Nikita can learn. She's not just a dumb babyface. Always nice to make your babyfaces learn from something. This match actually is pretty good. Like, it's not great, but it's a hard-hitting, good match between two people who have legitimate chemistry. Like, they have decent chemistry in the ring. What did you think?
Yeah, I like that part of like you said with Nikita going. It's like 4v1s kind of situation for her. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, nice. I like how she just moved out of the way and had it scouted this time around. Um, I did enjoy the chemistry they had. I wish the match would have been a little bit longer than what it had. But being the way it ended, it gives you a reason to do another match, which is why I figured they would do, because I figured one wouldn't be enough, to be honest. But yeah, I like how the ending was creative because even though you had Zoe, kind of rolling up Nikita in that way, she was still holding onto the ropes for leverage. And then Nikita was still surprised that it happened the way it did. But like I said, it just gives you another reason to do another match later on. But I liked what I saw so far, and I wish I would have done more because and that kick from Zoe in the corner, holy crap! The way it sounded. Even I think Rick was telling Booker's like, "Did you hear that? Like, did you hear that?" So like he couldn't like stop not talking about it when it happened, but it was definitely nice to see. You're muted.
Yeah, I should press the buttons.
Mm,
Zoe Stark put on a
right.
really good performance tonight. She really helped carry this match. Nikita's still getting her feet wet in here, and it showed a couple times, but Zoe Stark, I really impressed me in this match. Nikita always impresses me. I mean, how could she not? I'm in love whenever she's on the screen. It is, she's just what she is now. My official favorite. She just is. Mandy's gone. I don't have to be pushed and pulled anymore. It's just Nikita now. I mean, there are others, but Nikita. But no, I like the idea to cheat to win. Heels cheat to win. It makes sense. Baby faces look silly. All is good. If they want to do another match, great. If they don't want to do another match, fine. Um, it is what it is. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it was a good quality women's segment on NXT. And mind you, at this point now, we've had the women's segment. Normally on some wrestling shows, that's all we're going to get. We had another title match and a segment with your women's champions still to come. Not to mention a whole lot more. Speaking of a whole lot more of the women's segments, we have Cora Jade backstage talking about Roxanne Perez, talking about how she's so irritated that Roxanne's the one because it should have been her. She's the one who should have won the title. All this and that. And then Wendy Chu just absolutely attacks her out of nowhere wearing her candy cane onesie. I mean, A plus on her style for having the candy cane onesie. It was just fantastic. Not much to say here. It is what it is. It was a decent backstage promo. Our friend Chris Parrish joining us. Nikita, I feel at this point Nikita needs to win a big feud at this point. Yeah, I agree. Not only does she need a meaningful win, I think she needs to win a big feud. I feel like she needs to go on a roll here. Couple big wins. Win against people like Alba Fire. Win against people like Isla Dawn. Win against people like Zoe Stark. Alba Fire. I'll say it again, Alba Fire, because I think she needs to win a couple times over somebody like Alba Fire. But she needs some big wins in order to really get herself back where she needs to. Because there's nobody at the top of this women's division anymore. Like, there's Roxanne, obviously, at the top. But, I mean, other than that, everybody's kind of in the same spot. Other than, like, Cora Jade, Isla Dawn, and Alba Fire. And then it's everybody else. Like, legitimately, every other female on the roster might as well be in the exact same spot. Do you feel the same way, or do you see the NXT women's division slightly differently than I do?
No, I understand where you're coming from because it just feels like even though Roxanne's the top person, I feel like at the same time there's like no number two right now because that number two was her and she got bumped up to number one. So just I feel like they need to start building up girls, which is what I was saying last week. Now we have a lot more options for fresh things with Roxanne. We just have to start building up these girls to find that challenger for her and keep going from there and start pushing these girls because I like they're popular girls and they do well with the wrestling, but you need to push them with like giving those type of wins so like you feel like they're a threat to Roxanne.
Yeah, Parrish also continues. It's why I would continue with this Stark and Lyons and then feud with Jade and Hartwell if she turns on Perez. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways that you can go with this. Nikita has many, many roads to go, but you got to remember, you don't also have to find heels for Nikita to feud with. You also have to find create and find top level heels for Roxanne to feud with. That's why I think Roxanne might have to start taking on, with the exception of Cora Jade, she might have to start taking on some Raw and SmackDown talent who have nothing going on to go ahead and filter through. I think that might be the thing for her. And as Barry says, there's not many strong personalities. Many of these characters are a bit bland. The one thing I will say about NXT is they've done a great job in developing women's characters. The problem is that they all have a very basic character. Unlike more of your other wrestling promotions and programs, where the women have a single defined strong characteristic, NXT gives them the chance to kind of develop that as they go. And there's a lot of them. Like, we can rattle off 10 names of people who are ready to go for a match with Roxanne. But, you know, none of them are a Jordan Grace or a Jessica or, you know, Mickie James, Tasha Steelz, Savannah Evans. Like, there's not big, strong names like you have in Impact. It's not, you know, Britt Baker, Bunny, Abaddon, Jamie Hayter, you know, Tony Storm. You don't have strong names like you do in AEW. NXT, it's a lot of getting their feet wet and learning how to do it. Most of these girls are still young, 2-3 years in the business. Mm-hmm. So while there's not many strong personalities, I feel like there are characters developing, as we've seen with Kiana James, Fallon Henley. While they're not there in the ring sense that I would want them to be as top contenders, at least I feel like they're coming up with something character-wise that could be good. Parrish also jumps in to say, could be a good time to have Tamina come down and help Nikita out. I agree. Tamina might not be a bad bet. Tamina is, there's nobody meaner than Tamina. And two, she's a great veteran presence for that NXT locker room. I would bring down somebody like Doudrop. I would bring down somebody like Carmella. I would bring down, honestly, at this point, I'd bring down Liv Morgan for a little bit of time. I think there are plenty of young names that you can bring down of people who aren't doing a lot on SmackDown and Raw that you could bring back down, especially with Damage Control jumping shows. But again, that's more of a WWE conversation than an NXT conversation. But we'll jump in there with Sean Cena saying Dana Brooke is a main roster talent. Here's the thing with Dana Brooke. If I'm going to bring a talent from Raw or SmackDown, I want them to have name recognition and value. Now, we jokingly say, you know, Dana Brooke has no name recognition. I don't think that this... I legitimately have a theory. It is a conspiracy theory that the Dana Brooke that's in WWE right now is physically not the exact same person that used to be in NXT when she was with Emma. I don't think it's the same person. I legitimately think that there have been two different Dana Brooks. And if you look at photographs between then and now, you can distinctly see that they don't look anything alike. But Parrish does say I'd bring her down to conform with Kiana James. Maybe. I think there's... I don't want to get stuck here talking about Dana Brooke because I like Dana Brooke. But like, if we're going to bring people down, can we at least bring people down that have talent and are good? Like Tamina, like Carmella, like, again, like Doudrop. At least these women have talent and can really pull off some, you know, great matches and can really... Hell, when Natalia's nose heals, bring Natalya back down again. Bring down Sonya Deville. Bring back Naomi and put her in NXT. I think you can do a lot with the NXT roster, and you can leave Dana Brooke right where she is. Sitting in catering on Monday Night Raw and helping Kylie Ray look fantastic in a tryout match. We have to move on. No, we're not bringing down Alexa Bliss. I love Alexa Bliss. She is fantastic. She belongs in the main roster, being a star just the way he is. Just the way she is. Carmella should join Corbin and JBL's group. I still think Carmella is the absolute perfect fit for Toxic Attraction. If you want to literally plug and play in Toxic Attraction, I think if you're not going to do Sonya Deville because of the obvious connections between Mandy and Sonya, from a gimmicks perspective, Carmella is the absolute perfect plug and play fit. She already has an identical character to what Mandy Rose was doing. Okay, we're moving on from the women for... No, wait, no, we're not. So, we get Toxic Attraction's entrance. And I tell you, I have never seen Toxic Attraction look any less interested We're not touching this one with a 10-foot pole
No.
tonight.
No. Thanks. Sorry, Barry, but no.
I have never seen Toxic Attraction look less interested in being in a wrestling ring. They've been forced into wrestling matches where they looked more interested in being in a wrestling ring than tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But first, we have to go to commercial break, and when we come back, we have... I honestly thought this was going to be a quick segment where we found out that we have more money problems with Fallon's bar. No, her dad's not sick like we thought last week. Remember 3 weeks ago we thought her dad was just broke? And then last week we thought he was sick and dying? No. We're back to its money trouble. But the biggest problem I have with this segment, the biggest problem, is that JBBJ want to win the tag team titles. Not because they want to be on the card more and wrestle more matches and have great matches. They want to do watch parties at the bar to make money. Being at the bar. Hey guys, if you're the tag champions, you need to be on the show. You can't sit in the bar like you do when you're schmucks sitting on the sidelines like you are now. That being said, the Kiana James stuff here was great. Kiana James says that she found out from the bank after hearing from Brooks Jensen last week about the money trouble that the bar is basically upside down on its taxes. So she paid off the taxes, which let the bank put a lien on the bar. And I started getting confused because I don't understand money and I don't know what the hell happened the rest of the way. All I know is at this point now, Kiana tried to buy the bar. Fallon told her to go to hell. Well, Kiana says, well, the bar is going to be mine. So now they're going to have a match for the bar. And if Kiana wins, then she gets the bar. And if Fallon wins, then Kiana has to leave them alone and leave the bar alone. Yeah, and Parrish has it done perfectly. Fallon Henley's money issues feels like a sequel to Zach and Miriam making porn. It really does. And honestly, that feels more realistic than even touching this one. Because I'd rather talk about this formula. For anybody who doesn't know, just go online and go into your trendings and type in Lacey Evans and you'll find out exactly why we're not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Lacey Evans is scum. Moving on. We then get the triple threat match. As if I didn't want to talk about this women's division anymore because literally they threw all of the women's division stuff right in a row. Like literally, it's we get the Nikita Lyons stuff. Then we get the Cora stuff. Now we get the bar stuff and Toxic Attraction making their entrance. And now we get the triple threat. I'm going to say something. I love the finish to this match. Yes, Parrish. She does. She has the right to speak like an idiot and get condemned for it like she has on Twitter all day. It's been fantastic. My mouse is double clicking today and I don't like it. Anyways, there's only one thing in this match that I didn't understand. Everything else in this match I really, really enjoyed. There's a moment midway through the match where Tatum Paxley reaches out for a tag. She attempts to tag Katana Chance. And Katana Chance is not looking at her and then turns and sees her and looks at her like, what the hell are you doing? I'm not supposed to tag into this match for another 5 minutes. Did you notice that look on Katana's face? Yeah, she seemed very uninterested. And then quickly Tatum Paxley moves all the way back over to her corner. It's like she forgot what corner she was supposed to be going to and tried to tag in the wrong tag team partner. JC Jane finishes off this match by getting a big move in, but she goes back to the corner to hit the finish. Katana Chance tags herself in. Caden Carter pulls JC Jane out of the ring. Katana Chance tags in Caden Carter. Katana Chance then dives onto both members of Toxic Attraction on the outside, while Caden Carter hits their finish on the inside. And the match ends with KC squared. I'm sorry, no, she doesn't hit her finish. Ivy Nile gets control, puts her in the submission. Caden Carter uses the Roddy Piper to go ahead and get the pin. I really like that finish. It's starting to get old. They they need to think of something more creative because I feel like every time somebody has a sleeper finish nowadays, this spot has to be thrown in
Mhm.
at the earliest opportunity.
Yeah, I was gonna point out that when Katana dived into onto Toxic Attraction, she was pushed though. I think it was by Tatum. I know she was pushed by somebody else though to like break off the double team move that was supposed to happen. No, I did like how even though I know the finish is getting old, and I was like, we've seen this before. I like how creative it looked with during this
Yeah.
match particularly. Yeah, I like that how we were able to see it this way. I like how it was so close for like a team like Tatum and Ivy who barely tagged compared to everybody else. So I was excited for that moment, but I like the ending though. And just like I said, with like same thing with like Nikita and Zoe, it gives you that chance of it happening one on one with both of these teams and not toxic attraction involved, which is probably what's gonna happen next anyway. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I feel like they had good chemistry though, and it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of fast paced action. I think even Tatum and Ivy did very well together in this one too.
Over under the next time we see Toxic Attraction. Um, Reminder that it's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 weeks until the Rumble. Over under three. Over under 4 weeks to the next time we see Toxic Attraction. I'm gonna take the over, slightly over, and say the next time we see Toxic Attraction, they're in the Rumble.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever see them again in NXT.
Yeah,
Parrish telling us because he will be there. It's 5 weeks this
yeah,
Saturday.
just counting it down.
Also saying, as far as the Tatum Paxley one, I don't want to
Mhm.
be on this team anymore. Can I be on yours? I mean, at least she was trying to join the team with the championships, so that does make a lot of sense.
Sure.
We then get a promo package for, as I thought, until literally the very end of the promo where the guy said his name, No Way Jose Squared. Because I thought we were getting No Way Jose Part 2. I knew we weren't getting actual No Way Jose, but I thought we were getting somebody else who's just like No Way Jose. But apparently it was just an Oro Mensa promo. I didn't know until literally he said his name, who the hell he was.
It took me a moment though to realize it was him, and I put in my notes Oro Mensa question mark promo because I wasn't sure if it was him at first. Up until the name came up on the graph, I was like, okay, I just want to be sure it was him, but I wasn't entirely sure at first.
Perish another good one. When you don't give a crap, go to the ones with the strap. Yeah, no, I honestly, great. Oro Mensa's coming back. Why does he have to feel like No Way Jose Part 2? Uh, Anyways, we now get Roxanne and Booker T. Continuing with literally that promo package being the only thing that separated, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive women's segments.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying you need to have less women's segments on the show. I am saying I would like them sprinkled a little bit differently so they're not all in a row. But
Mm-hmm.
you win and you lose. This was a really interesting and cool promo, like little interview spot. I like how Booker T starts this with "You're the one," and he starts explaining what "You're the one" means. I really, really like that. Roxanne also reminds us that she's done all of these things in 9 months, from being the breakout tournament winner to being a tag team champion, the first ever Iron Survivor winner, either male or female, and then champion. She's done a lot in 9 months. I still don't think she's the breakout star in NXT because if I remember correctly, no, Carmelo Hayes was last year, wasn't he? Oh. I still think Carmelo Hayes is the breakout star of NXT. Either that or Nikita Lyons, one of the two. Either way, this was a really fun, interesting segment. What did you think of this?
Yeah, I think this is the part that they only mentioned Mandy once, because she was saying when Mandy attacked me, the only thing that came to my mind was the words that you gave me, and it was like you need to bet on yourself, you need to bank on yourself. And she said, "Well, that's what went through my mind when Mandy attacked me from behind." And you can barely hear the name Mandy when she says it too. So like if you miss it, you miss it. And that was the only time she was mentioned whatsoever. And when they showed that video package of when she attacked her. But it's like I like seeing those parts, and he's like you've been preparing it since day one. I like how they mentioned reality of wrestling again, which is something that we discussed before the last couple of weeks. Um, but I like more than anything that like father daughter relationship they have because she just looks at him with the title. She goes, "From a champion to a former champion, what advice do you give me?" And the way he just looks at her and tells her the advice, it was so nice to see. Like when I saw the advertisement for this on the preview, I thought this is such a nice touch to have Booker T do this interview with her. Like I automatically could feel it. I could see it in my mind how it played out, and I loved it. But I loved how the advice was like, you gotta, if you feel those butterflies, you gotta make those butterflies line up and shine straight on that night when you're out there. So I like having little things like that. It just I one thing and also that I noticed like so far, even though just 1 week, they still haven't really have any mention of a contender for her, which I thought was interesting to begin with because you kind of think of, oh, New Year's Eve was coming up soon, maybe she will have the first defense there, but they haven't built up anybody so far tonight to like say, oh, this person's coming up next. The only person I can think of, like I said before, would be Cora, because Cora can easily say, "Oh, I beat Roxanne. I beat Roxanne before, so I should be the one." So I'm guessing when probably she wins over Wendy next week, and you'll probably see her having that promo of like, "I won with Roxanne." That's the only one I can think of. But I thought I liked that it was a highlight on her, and there was nobody else either.
Yeah. I did like how the 21-year-old was being told by Booker T the advice of at one point, when it doesn't feel right anymore, just walk away. Thanks, Booker. She's 21. I mean, I think she's got another 20 years in the business, but it's nice to know that you're already giving her advice on when to retire. Coming from Booker T. Advice on retiring from Booker T. The man who still hasn't left the business. We then have Apollo Crews coming out, and finally another men's segment. Again, I don't hate that we had a lot of women's segments. That being said, I would have liked a few men's segments sprinkled in, just to give us something
You
different.
said it. You said it. Not
Oh,
once,
damn
but
it.
twice.
Anyways, Apollo Crews comes out calling his shot for a shot at the champion after New Year's Eve at Vengeance Day. Carmelo Hayes says no, not before me, and they go back and forth. Here's another match I didn't know I wanted to see, but I think we're getting it at
Mm-hmm.
New Year's Evil, and I couldn't be happier. This is gonna be a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
I love
Mello,
I love that did you hear the lines that they talk to each other though? Did you like write them down like I did?
I didn't write them down.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
When Carmella comes in, he goes for a man of vision. How do you see the NXT title from the back of the line? And the
Yep.
crowd reaction, I was like, oh my god. Um, and I like how Apollo told him. Oh, I thought I had it down here. He's like, no matter how good you think you are, there's always someone out there that's better than you. But he said between each other, they told each other, name the time and place. So, dun dun
Yep.
dun.
Yeah, and that place is going to be New Year's Evil, and it's going to be a banger, and it's probably going to be match of the night because, with the exception of Isla Dawn versus Alba Fire, there's no other match on this card that I actually want to see. I'm literally already calling it, with the exception, unless New Day versus Pretty Deadly ends up on this card. Oh crap, the Creeds are probably going to end up on this card, aren't they? We'll get to it. This is going to be my match of the night that night, regardless. Barry says, "Is it my imagination or does Apollo's accent change every?" Yeah, so Apollo's much like Kofi Kingston. He has a wandering accent, where every now and then it pops in and every now and then it doesn't. At least he doesn't have to do "I love Apollo," but his Nigerian accent when he was on SmackDown as the Intercontinental Champion. Like, I understand he's Nigerian and he was doing his own thing, but it was awful, and it didn't feel authentic to him because we've heard him talk before and that's not how he's ever talked. So it just felt weird. Speaking of New Day versus Pretty Deadly, we have the New Day backstage and Pretty Deadly come in with gifts galore as they're apparently trying to get all of the items on New Day's Christmas list, including all kinds of crazy things. I did not write any of them down. The one thing they couldn't get on the list was Nails' prison costume. For those who don't know, Nails is a man who once attacked Vince McMahon backstage over pay and was then fired. He was, I believe, he was supposed to be in a match. No, that was Nathan Jones, different guy. But yeah, no, Nails is a wrestler from a bygone era of wrestling that wore a prison outfit, and yeah, he was crazy, legit crazy. I did like that Woods tells them that they need to go ahead and get all these gifts if they want their tag team title match. And he mentions Tyler Breeze's selfie stick, as if Woods couldn't just ask Breeze himself. I did like that one. Anything to say about the backstage thing between these two?
Yeah.
No? We have Alba Fire walking to the ring before Isla Dawn blows red dust in her face. And Alba Fire goes down. I like that they're finding interesting in different ways for Isla Dawn to be used. They had her at the top of the ladder. They have her here doing this. They've really got a grips on what they want with her character, don't they? Like, for all the talk we had about Isla Dawn being the fourth member of Schism, they've really got this character nailed down. They know exactly who she's feuding with for this first feud. They know exactly the character that she's going to play, and they are pumping it. I only say that to say, we had the debut of Bird Lady last week. This week, not one mention of her. There was zero mention of Bird Lady this week on the show. They didn't recap her performance. They didn't talk to her. They didn't have a new promo package. Nothing. How can you have two brand new superstars to your brand and two vastly different approaches to how you're actually going to deal with the character? I just don't get it.
No. Plus, the only things I got too excited thinking, oh, Alpha's match is coming next. We'll get another ladies' match, a fourth one. It was over before even started. Thanks.
But we'll get to that. Because first we have, as I call them, Team BBC, backstage, Idris Enofe, Malik Blade. Hey, they gave themselves that tag team name, just so we're clear. Malik Blade, Idris Enofe, and Odyssey Jones going back and forth with Minnie Rock. Ava Rain.
It's Pebble.
And it's the Pebble? Here's what it is.
Well, it makes sense.
It does make sense. Either way.
Call her Pebble at least.
We might as well call her Ava Rain because she wants nothing to do with Rocky. Like, nothing. She wants nothing to do with Daddy. Well, guess what? Her and James Gunn have the same opinion because they don't want anything to do with him either. But anyways, moving on. They have them backstage, and then the Schism come in. I feel like a lot of words were said for nothing to happen in this segment.
Yeah.
We're getting a 6-man tag next week. Great.
Yeah, that was just to ignite the match, and that was it.
Yeah. So many words for nothing to have happened. They didn't fight. They didn't scuffle. They just stood peacefully apart and spoke words. We then get Indy Hartwell and Elektra Lopez in a level up match that ended up on NXT somehow. I'm sorry. This match was tailor-made for level up. I have no idea how it made it to broadcast. It wasn't great. These two girls had no time. And the finish was okay. I honestly missed the brass knuckles so badly that I thought Elektra had a wardrobe malfunction.
Oh my god.
I mean, she might say it if she ends up with the Acclaimed, but, you know. Anyways.
Oh my god.
Do you have anything nice to say about this match? Because obviously
The only question I had was who put the brass knuckles there for her? How did she know they were there to begin with? She went before the show, hit them there, knowing she would use them for the match. Who put them there? How did she know where they were? Those are my questions when I saw this. After that, I'm just like, she just kept saying, I'm 2 steps ahead of you. It's like, yeah, but you can only do this for so long after somebody notices that you're doing it. So, Let's see how long that lasts.
Yeah. It was. Yes, it was another women's match, and congratulations for the women to have another segment, another match. But after this match, I really felt like it should have been on Level Up, because at least on Level Up it would have been a 10-minute match. Like, it was what, 3.5 minutes, maybe. Parrish, a great early sign of Regal's return with the brass knucks. It is. I mean, we won't see him on screen again for another year, a year plus, but it is a good sign to know that he's back. We then get Sol Roca making her entrance. No, wait, hold on. So I'm pretty sure somewhere in here there's a Grayson Waller segment with Alba Fire backstage getting her, one segment with her getting attended to and Grayson Waller shows up. I think that's before the indie match. And then after the indie match is another one with her being cleared to go wrestle.
Yeah.
Either way, Alba Fire goes to the ring after Sol Ruca, Charlotte Flair with about 1,000 times more energy, goes ahead to the ring. And the match never starts, as you said, because Isla Dawn attacks her. And goes ahead and pins her hand in between the stairs and takes the baseball bat and smacks it on her wrist. Isla Dawn, again, one of the best booked people in NXT. She's been here about a month. She is the most fleshed out character in all of NXT right now, with maybe the exception of Roxanne Perez. Like, half the roster, we have no idea who they are, what they're doing, or why they're there. Like, I still don't know why Indy Hartwell's still on NXT. I still don't know. Barry's saying the same person who hides chairs, tables, and ladders under every single wrestling ring. To be fair, the chairs are there because you never know if you're going to need an extra chair at ringside. The tables are there because you never know if you're going to need to set up a table for merch. And 3, the ladders are there to help set up the lighting near ringside. Those are the legitimate reasons why there are ladders. I honestly asked a wrestling promoter why they put those things under their own ring, and that was those were the answers I got. Now I'm sure Parrish can correct me as to what the reasons that they are done, but I was once told those were the 3 reasons why those 3 items specific were there. Now, how the kendo sticks get there, I can't tell you. But at least the other 3, I can answer those 3. We then have a Chase U holiday party. I say holiday party. It was a line where people were just giving Andre Chase gifts. One guy, I forget his name, goes ahead and gives Andre Chase fruitcake. Andre's apparently allergic to fruit. Poor Andre, if he's allergic to fruit. He asks Tia how old he looks, and Tia Hale says 50. Which I did think was funny. Another reason to hate Tia Hale, because she's awful. And she's mean to Andre Chase. But the only redeeming thing in this segment is Duke comes up and realizes that it's the day to give Andre Chase gifts. And he has nothing to give him. So he goes ahead and taps the guy on his shoulder in front of him, whose name was Alex. And he cons him into giving him his gifts so that he can go deal with a problem with his scholarship with the dean. Please, for the love of God, NXT, please make the dean of Andre Chase University Dean Douglas. For the love of God, I just want to pop once for Shane Douglas being the dean of Andre Chase University. I think it would be hysterical. It was nice to see Andre Chase no-selling everything that happened to him last night on Raw.
I was going to say that. I was like, good to know he's all right and he still feel with it the next day.
Chase U looks more and more like a cult. Gifts for the glorious leader. I mean, they do have a cult. It's called the Schism. To be fair, they already have a cult. They don't need a second one. And we have Parrish saying, what about Matt Striker? No, Matt Striker's a teacher. He can teach at Chase U. But if they're gonna have a dean, you need Dean Douglas. I'm just the wordplay alone would just be good. I really think it'd be funny. I know Shane Douglas hates the WWE, so it'll never happen. But I like the idea.
Maybe they'll say it though.
No, because Shane would never. I honestly, because it involves a Shane Douglas working with NXT, which means Shane Douglas has to work with Shawn Michaels. And Lord knows that if you want to hear about the clique in the '90s, there's one person who will never work with with HBK and Triple H is going to be Dean Douglas, Shane Douglas. Again, Alpha Academy's great, but like they're not the Dean. Like I know, maybe. Again, I don't know. Alpha Academy just seems like a competing school. Like I'd love to see Andre Chase versus Chad Gable in a school off, or have the triple threat and have Drew Gulak in there too.
I was gonna say you have to have
We're gonna see Gulak in a
yeah.
couple seconds.
Hmm.
But before we get to Drew Gulak, we have to go ahead and talk about Fallon and JBBJ backstage, and Kiana James comes up, and Fallon's like, "I don't want to deal with you anymore. We can deal with that next week." And she's like, "I'm not here for you. I'm here for him." And she says, "Brooks, I just wanted to wish you good luck." And Brooks Jensen can't talk. And my only question is, why have they made the assistant so much more attractive than the wrestler? Like, why is G the assistant way more eye-catching than Kiana James? That's all I can think about
I
this
have no
entire
answer.
segment. Because it's Brooks Jensen and Josh. It's Brooks Jensen on screen, so I could honestly care less. So my eyes were caught by G in the background. Um, Again, it's a fine backstage segment. Again, the biggest problem with thank you. Shh. No, I'm just kidding. You can go ahead. I understand she doesn't talk, but does she have to be that much prettier than Kiana? Like, you can't find anybody like less attractive than Kiana to like not take the attention off Kiana James because she's supposed to be the star of that portion of the segment. I don't know. Maybe I don't understand how these things are supposed to work. Maybe I just don't get it. Maybe I'm the jerk. I don't know. We then get Drew Gulak, and as I've called him now, Hank the Tank, because I honestly couldn't until he's. Yes, I still don't want Dana Brooke. You can find other less attractive people. They've hired plenty of ugly models before to play roles in WWE. I'm sure you can find one. Double click problem. Anyways, we then get Gulak and Hank the Tank, because I honestly couldn't remember that his name was Walker, because he's that devoid of charisma and interest. He kept calling him Mr. Gulak, to which Drew's like, just call me Drew. And he wanted to know what Drew Gulak thought of his match with Charlie Dempsey, to which Gulak tried to find something and couldn't think of anything, and just told him to come, not participate. Key. He doesn't want him as part of a participation in the seminar. He just wants him to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Can they just call it Catch Point already, please? Just so I can laugh. Can they call it Catch Point?
Catch Point 2.0.
Have you had anything to say about any of these backstage segments? Because we've literally had like 4 of them in a row. And I feel like I'm the only one doing the talking. But literally, this show is like, it's like great match, 5 backstage segments. Decent match, 5 backstage segments. Whatever Indy Hartwell and Elektra Lopez was supposed to be, multiple backstage. Like,
At least it wasn't like the interviews like we had that one night that we saw Mackenzie way too many times. And we're like, yeah, we had too many interviews tonight. And like, it's been all in different places. But yeah, it's just like, I feel like it was too much almost in a row. It's like you could have divided it. It's like they need to start picking things to like put in the digital exclusive somehow after the show, or even before the show happens. Like this Chase U stuff could have been before the show. You don't have to air it. And like this thing with Hank Walker, you could have put it before the show too. It's like you want to put in your people to go to your social media and especially YouTube to get previews of the show or get the complete story while they before the show happens. It's like I could have done those things there. Um, but yeah, just like the only thing that made me laugh was at the part with Andre Chase. Is like I kept thinking maybe he has some kind of bandage from the beatdown he got last night. Nothing, no mention of it either. I thought he would at least say something like, "Yeah," or maybe get like a massage chair or something like that. It's like, "Yeah, I need after what happened last night," something like that, just to like make you think, "Oh, he was attacked." No, it's like it didn't even happen. So I thought that was interesting. Like he didn't even mention it. With like usually now with Hunter and HBK, there's that continuity that we have like between shows. So you would have thought a mention of it at least. So I was surprised they didn't, but it happens.
Speaking of energy voids, when you're void of energy and you need a kick, go right down here to Rogue Energy. We are a Rogue Energy affiliate podcast. They help keep us all active and ready to go for all of our podcasts. And if you go ahead and scan the QR code below Astrid, over there in the other corner, you can go ahead or just go to rogueenergy.com and use the code OLEPODS. Again, go to Rogue Energy and use the code OLEPODS, and you're going to get 10% off your order. They have all kinds of fantastic flavors. My favorite's the watermelon. It's absolutely fantastic. Go ahead and get your Rogue today by going to Rogue Energy or scanning the QR code and making sure that when you go to checkout, you put in OLE Pods to get 10% off your order. And now we're here at the... Oh, wait, hold on. We do have Barry jumping in. They obviously had someone not available, so needed loads of filler crap. Can't think of who. Yeah, I mean, it's as if somebody important to the show was missing. You know?
Dun, dun, dun.
But
Oh,
no, like with the exception of the fact that there were just so many backstage segments in a row, the show felt like it moved really, really well. With the exception of the Level Up match that somehow made it to broadcast as opposed to being taped for Level Up in the commercial break, it felt like a really good match show too. All the matches delivered, including the next match, which is our main event match, which is JBBJ facing off against New Day for the tag team titles. This match was way better than I ever thought it was going to be. But Ash, why don't you go ahead and talk to us about JBBJ versus the New Day?
yeah. One thing that I did notice, I kept pointing out, and I had to pay attention to it. It's like Vic and Booker kept talking about the New Day thing. Like, oh, I'm mad at Biggie because he still make Can You Dig It Suck a line, and that's why it's like this is why Ignite and everything is like really a line. I was like, whatever. I did love how the crowd was chanting "Hail King Woods," and it's like they didn't forget about it. And they kept chanting it for a little bit there. But yeah, just like I like the back and forth the teams had. They had a really good chemistry. So this is another match that I wouldn't mind seeing again. Yeah, like you said, it was better than I thought it was gonna be. Pacing was really well done, and just like I feel like it was definitely a great way for the guys to learn from New Day in here, and the crowd was so like high for it. And I really love the energy they had in the arena too, more than anything. But I just like the only thing, like I said, is like to me this was the main event, and then I looked at the time and it was like 9:54. So I kept thinking something else is missing here. It's like I could have done with this ending the show, then doing the handshake and like showing the sportsmanship. The only thing is like when they were shaking hands, I thought for a moment they were gonna turn heel because they kept focusing a little bit for a moment there. I was like, okay, I'm glad it's not gonna happen because Fallon is in there. But yeah, and then we had Kiana and Gia Rings that just cheering on Brooks. There was particularly one part when I don't know if it was Xavier pinning Brooks, but he held on to the bottom rope, and they were like pointing out how smart that was, and she was like, she looked like she was impressed by his decision to do that too. So I thought those like points like that were interesting.
Yeah. Barry says, I thought the same. It's amazing how a good experience can lead jobbers to new heights. Now, while I have my problems with JBBJ, and I have a litany of issues with this tag team, they're not jobbers. They're a relatively good tag team. Josh Briggs is one of the better big men in the business. And I think if he were to get split from Brooks Jensen, having a guy like him in the ring with a guy like Dijak could be a whole lot of fun for a match later on in the future. But these guys are by no means jobbers. They are well talented in ring performers. Brooks Jensen, as much as crap as I give him, had a hell of a match in there with the New Day tonight. Really impressed me. Really went out there and took the lead in that match, it felt like. He was constantly in there. Briggs was the hot tag, which is unusual because it's normally the other way around, where Jensen is the hot tag. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it was just a whole bunch of fun. Kiana James was down there. They had the sportsmanship at the end. This is the New Day going on their tour, facing as many of these teams as possible between now and either Vengeance Day or Stand and Deliver, and going ahead and taking a little bit of time to put over as many tag teams as they can, which is the perfect use of the New Day if you have no use for them on the main roster. Mm-hmm. Give them 3 months in NXT and just let them have great matches, and then drop the title to make a team. This is instantly made this tag team division feel so much deeper, and it's literally been 2 matches. It is so good. It's just been real great, and I really enjoyed it. Nothing more I can say about this match. It was great. We then go backstage to Stacks talking crap to Dijak store. I had to rewind my notes because I put Stacks talking crap to Dijak, about to get the crap put back down his throat, to when I realized he was just talking to the door to work himself up to go in the room. So he goes in the room and we never see him again. I really hope it's a digital exclusive for that, because I want to see what happens after he gets in the room.
Yeah.
That being said, we get the Diamond Mine outside. They ask stupid questions to Ivy Nile, and I think the question was like, "Are you guys going to break up now that you've lost?" I'm like,
"Yeah,
what?
Why?"
Like, yeah, you were the dumbest interviewer. Where did you get your questions, Lacey Evans? I don't get it. Like, how could you have that stupid of an opinion? That being said, the only part of this that really makes any sense and really matters is Julius telling Indusher that he's cleared, so they can't keep ducking him. Indusher says, "Well, you know what? We don't believe you. Prove it to us." And he says, "Okay, I'm going to have a match with JD McDonough next week, and you guys can see it then." And I'm like, all right, we'll do Julius versus JD McDonough. This is the one that got Julius hurt in the first. I was saying, this is the one that got Julius hurt in the first place. But sure, we'll do that match again.
I like what he did it. He looked at Ivy. He's like, because he's hurt me in the first place. Like, I'm giving you the reason why I'm doing it. But just like he turned to her instead of just saying it to everybody. I'm like, okay. I was like, so you got cleared to get injured again. Makes sense. I love the logic there. And then the funny thing too, when the interview starts asking the queens, like, "Are you guys proud of Ivy and Tatum tonight in the performance?" You got, "Yeah, they made a great progress and great strides towards the championship." Like, said, what else do you want them to say? Oh, we're disappointed in them, right there next to them.
No, they're failures. We're gonna kick them out of Diamond Mine. What? It's not like they're Roddy Strong with a lot. And then the next time we saw him was at a baseball game with some guy taking a picture with him at a baseball game. He still hasn't been on NXT. We then get the rundown for next week, and next week, all right. They tried to make next week feel like a really big show, but I'm telling you, I'm looking at these matches again, and it feels like it's a whole bunch of nothing. We've got Schism versus Enofe, Blade, and Jones. We got Fallon Henley versus Kiana in a what do they call it? A battle for the bar, I think it was called.
Yeah.
We got JD McDonough versus Julius Creed. We got Cora Jade versus Wendy Chu. And we've got Tony D'Angelo versus Wesley for the North American Championship. Like, that's like 2 really good matches, and then 3 things just to set up stuff for like a week, like the next 3 weeks. It'll be fine. But it just seems like they were trying to make a big deal about it, and it didn't seem like it was that big a deal. But we'll be here to talk about next week's show next week. We'll have the post-Christmas edition of Taking Over. Maybe we'll have some twinkly lights if I can figure out how to work the graphics machine. We'll see what I can do. We then get Grayson Waller in the ring, who calls out Braun Breaker, knowing he's not there, to be proven wrong when Braun Breaker shows up and comes storming to the ring. Braun Breaker goes ahead and hits a spear, and both guys are just lying there on the ground. To which you see that Grayson Waller has a lead vest on. And for those of you who, I said this earlier and I'll say it again, Waller thinks he's Bret Hart. It's because in WCW, yes, Bret Hart's terrible WCW reign, there was a point where Goldberg tried to spear him and he wore a lead vest so that Goldberg hurt his shoulder. This is the only one and only time that you'll ever hear Bret Hart and Grayson Waller in the same vein. So Grayson Waller can, somebody can clip this and send this to Grayson Waller so he can go ahead and hear it, because it's the only time he'll ever, ever, ever be mentioned in the same vein as Bret Hart, because Lord knows the two of them are nothing alike. Grayson Waller's good on the mic, and then Bret Hart's, Bret Hart on the mic. I'm a Shawn Michaels guy. I'm never going to be a Bret Hart guy. So, what did you think of this segment? Because I know you said you didn't think you needed it.
I mean, I understand why it happened, just to like make Grayson look smarter in front of Braun. But when the car started, when I heard the honking, I was like, man, it would have been funny if it was Roxanne this time around. Closing the door was like, no, I'm interrupting you this time. I was like, dang it, I would have wished that would have happened instead. But just like, this makes Mackenzie look like a liar, because she said he was in North Carolina doing media.
Well, he was all day. But, I mean, North Carolina is only what? An hour, like 2 or 3 hours away from Florida?
Yeah. South Carolina is huge. Like, it'll take you a little bit. Like, at least, I think, like 6 or 7 hours, maybe 8.
Hold on.
So it depends how far he was.
Matt
Trust me, I have family in North Carolina.
Vamp for time while I'm going. Oh, we have Barry Monkey. Can you read Barry's comment while I go ahead and map quest some stuff here?
Sanga was wrestling well, getting himself over with the NXT crowds, looking good now they lumbered him with Veer. I was torn about it because I had seen in live events that they were teaming up already, so I was excited for it. But at the same time, I feel like nothing has happened aside from them like reuniting backstage. Like nothing significant has happened between them. It's just the back and forth with the Creed brothers, and that's about it. It's just like I was hoping for something else at this point, but oh well, that's a different story.
We also have Chris Parrish shopping in.
Let's see, what does Grayson Waller think of El Dandy? That's up to you. I don't think I was watching back then.
I mean, I don't think Grayson Waller even knows who El Dandy is. He might know who Bret Hart is. I mean, it's Australia. I don't know if they got WWE in the 90s when Bret Hart was actually, famous and important. At this point now, all Bret Hart does is go online and say that he hates Goldberg. Doesn't matter what question you ask him, the answer is I hate Goldberg. Also, the James Henley match should at least be phrased that would have been really good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no matter what the outcome of this match, I don't think it's their last match, so I don't think they should call it the last shot.
Okay, and what's the answer about the distance or the time?
I don't know. It's still coming up. I had to try to search for it.
Epic fail.
It's not giving it to me. I don't know.
Okay, look.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. I'm proving a point. It does matter.
Astrid's going to go ahead and do that. While Astrid's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody where they can find me, because the show has pretty much come to an end. We finished the episode of NXT. There's not a whole lot more to go over about this episode, so you can find me right down here on Twitter at edfries12584 until Twitter explodes. You can also find me on Twitch at edfries2002 on Twitch. When you have me on Twitch, you can go ahead and I will be doing some gaming content coming up. I know I keep saying that and I don't do any of it, but I promise I will be doing it. I'm also going to be doing a year-end show on my Twitch, potentially here on OLE2, not quite sure. I'm going to have wonderful guests like Lauren Goodnight, Mel Ball from Astrid's show on Fridays, and I'm also going to be joined by Cody Defoe, Astrid's co-host on Making an Impact. Basically, I'm stealing all of Astrid's co-hosts for a night. We're going to be doing a special type of year-end show. We're taking people who watch predominantly one wrestling organization, and we're going to talk about each other's year-end awards for the promotions that we cover and that we watch. And we're going to go ahead and give the bird's eye view of what we think would be the year-end awards for the promotions that we don't watch. I'll be covering WWE and NXT. My friend Lauren Goodnight from the Tom Colley community will be going ahead and heading up the AEW community. Cody will be heading up the Impact. And Mel Ball will obviously be taking Stardom and New Japan Pro Wrestling, as that's what she covers with her co-host Andre, who is my co-host on Marvel Talk, which we'll be having another show later. Again. Yeah, I got a whole bunch this time. We'll be doing our next episode of Marvel Talk probably the first week of the new year, where we're going to be going ahead and taking some time to go ahead and break down the 2023 calendar and what we think is coming, what we think is going to happen, and all the things coming up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for 2023. Astrid, what's the answer?
So I put it in just North Carolina, just Charlotte specifically, because it's the only way I could get an answer. But depending where he is, more or less, at least from my home to Charlotte, specifically is 8 hours. And that's not even saying what the city it is in North Carolina. That's just me putting a guess of it could be. I think it's in Charlotte, isn't it?
It is Charlotte.
If I'm not mistaken. Okay, but like depending where it's more or less, it's like 8 hours, which I knew because I'd done that drive here to North Carolina with my family, so I knew it was about 8 hours. So it still wouldn't make sense for him to go there that far. I don't know why Mackenzie was saying, but I guess somebody didn't give it the memo.
He could have been on his way home. I wonder if anybody has edited Braun Breaker's Wikipedia page and taken 2 inches off his height. Let's just hope it's not the inches that Cora Jade wants to have. Make sure that they stay relevant too. And speaking of relevance and inches, we get Astrid Pizarro and all the wonderful things that she does.
Yeah. You can find me by Twitter. It's down there, my Instagram too. Again, doing Tuesdays taking over with Ed, and then Thursdays making an impact with Cody. We just released last Friday the episode of Ladies Wrestling Showcase talking about the Sasha stuff and Mandy with my New Japan expert. You know, I brought it. No, I'm kidding. It's my co-host Mel. But yeah, you can find it up on YouTube at this point. Yeah, so it's an audio and the audio platforms too, so you can check that out. And other than that, my NXT review goes on. It's already up on Women's Wrestling Talk for last week for NXT, and I should be doing mine this week for NXT, but I think that's all I got going on right now, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you have a special episode of Making an Impact this week, don't you? Hint.
Not really.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, I guess I don't have to. I guess I don't have anything going on Thursday. Cool. Hey, guess what, everybody? I don't have to do a show on Thursday.
Well, for those of you that don't mind the double duty for us, we're gonna be doing Making an Impact on Thursday together because Cody's off to go to Top Talent. He's abandoned me for one night, but I'll take Ed for one night only at least. Oh wait, well, 2 nights because he's gonna be there sometime later next year.
You know, you say one night only. Me taking over started as one night only. Cody better watch it.
I told you it's not one night only. I warned you.
Parrish says he used the jet. With that being said, this has been Taking Over. You can go ahead and catch us here on OLE Pods. Make sure to catch all the wonderful content on OLE Pods, including Paramindful every other Monday, Turnbuckle Talk every Tuesday, right before NXT, right around the same time NXT starts. You can go ahead and catch Carl doing Turnbuckle Talk. You've got Fusioned every Thursday with Bobby and Papa Smokes. Yes. And then, of course, every Sunday morning, you've got the Busting Out, the Brunch Bros, Chris Parrish and Bobby Munson doing their wonderful show. I believe they're having their holiday show this Sunday. Is Impact on DAZN? Yes. Yes, it is on DAZN as far as I know. I don't watch it that way. I watch it on YouTube.
Same.
But I assume it's going to be on DAZN. I assume that they went on there as soon as they announced it. Who knows? It's Impact. Only 100,000 people watch it anyways. You should watch more. Impact is great. It's going to be fun reviewing a show that I haven't watched an actual episode in like 3.5 years. And I'm going to have to try to figure out who all these people are. You think I don't know who people are on NXT? Coming back after 6 weeks of not watching NXT. Oh boy, can't you wait when you see me watching people from Impact.
It's going to be fun.
For me, Ed Fries, that is Astrid Pizarro. We have taken over, and now we are going to go. Oh, Parrish says he's free on Thursdays and has DAZN. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But for everybody, we're going to say goodbye. Have a great night. See you later.
Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the